Okay, so would you like to start off by introducing yourself?
Mm-hmm. My name is Louise Jones, and I currently live here in Nipawak. Just had my 64th birthday yesterday.
Wow, happy birthday!
Thanks. Yeah.
Okay, and so you live in Nipawak now, so where did you grow up?
Oh, before we came here, we were living in the Swan River area.
Okay.
We were there over 20 years.
20 years
Yeah.
in Swan River.
Raised the family there mostly.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you do out there in Swan River? Like in
Raised kids.
raise kids? Oh, that's a full-time job.
That was mainly what I did. In fact, that's why I didn't do any art up
Okay.
until 2005 when I started.
You started
Because I couldn't do both at once.
Yeah,
I was either going to raise kids
or
or
paint.
do art.
Yeah.
So I chose to raise kids, and then when they were getting old enough.
Yeah. So what are some of your favorite memories from when you started getting into the art?
I like watching people paint.
Yeah.
I like watching people do art of different kinds. I always wanted to have what I have now, which is a little space where I can do my art.
Studio.
When I was about 10, I was just thinking of this the other day. We were living actually in BC in a kind of a small house, and there were quite a few of us kids, so I had a little spot between the chimney and the wall, and I put a bunch of orange crates there, and that was my first art desk, and I sat in there and I did art.
Oh, yeah.
That was really a special place. I never had a place like that until later on.
Yeah.
And now I have my own space.
Your own studio. So that's kind of how you started out, was when you saw people painting and these kind of things, and you thought, well, I should try that.
Yes, I loved books that showed, you know the Walter Foster books? Have you ever?
Yes, I think I've
Years
seen
and
them.
years ago they had, that was all there was, pretty well out there for the average person. Big.
But those
well,
big
yeah,
painting
big,
books, yeah.
and they showed pictures of the paint being mixed, the colors being mixed, and those look so rich. I really like looking at those.
Yeah.
Of course, I had nobody to teach me how to do that. But I thought somewhere out there somebody's doing nice stuff.
Yeah.
And there was an art instruction schools that sent out lessons in the mail,
Mm-hmm.
tests. I got one when I was about 12. And I knew there was no way we could afford for me to take that.
Mm-hmm.
It was a correspondence course in art. But I did the test,
Yeah.
and they sent it away, and I got a really good mark. But
Yeah.
they said, you're too young.
So they
Try again later, and I thought, people said, oh, well, of course they say that because they want you to pay for their lessons, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I thought someday,
You're gonna do it,
I'm going to do it.
and you did.
And so now
So what is the painting process for you right now? So one day you have an idea, and then what happens?
oh, I have lots of ideas. I have lots of ideas. When I am moving about and I see things that intrigue me, ideas
Mm-hmm.
or shapes or colors, I'll take a picture or I'll make a plan to come back to that spot and work on that. I love painting outside.
Oh, yeah.
Something plein air they call it. I do that as much as I can, as soon as I can when the weather gets. I'm not one for doing it outside. Some people do in the winter.
Yeah,
but
outside.
not me.
Landscapes.
And so I'm always storing up ideas, and also sometimes a painting comes from an idea. I have an idea first,
Okay.
and then I try to think of how can that be illustrated. Or I'm wrestling with a problem,
Mm-hmm.
and the idea comes in a graphic kind of a way through something I see,
Okay.
and it becomes a picture.
So you're illustrating idea in your mind through a painting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's spilling out onto
Yes.
the canvas.
And I do think that I'm an illustrative artist, which is kind of looked down on, or it
Okay.
has been over the years.
Yeah.
It comes to the fore occasionally.
Okay.
Um,
So it's not the fad kind of thing,
no, it isn't.
or trendy.
Well, you know, sometimes it is.
So it depends on what year it is.
Yeah, where you are and when you are. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't help it. I like there to be an idea in my painting. I don't mind just doing a painting that looks nice, but you have to do those to get your skill level up. But
Yeah.
what I like to do is something that conveys an idea.
You like to illustrate ideas and thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Which leads into the next question. Do you have a philosophy behind the art you create? Or guiding principles or anything like that?
Yeah, I do. I think that the idea should be clear. Clarity is
Mhm.
something that's really important to me. And beauty, which, if you trace that word back, it has connections to the word good in German. I
Okay.
understand. I don't know German, but I've
Okay.
read about it.
Yeah.
And so we do long for beauty in our natural, a normal way. We do want beauty. So I like there to be beauty.
Mm-hmm.
I like there to be clarity of thought and something that gives you something to think about over a period of time.
So that's the goal you're trying to
Yeah.
accomplish
Mhm.
behind whenever you create
Mm-hmm.
some kind of piece of work. So what is your favorite style of painting to paint?
Oh, I like realism.
Okay.
Sometimes that gets a little strange. I could show you examples of that. Everything I do isn't exactly realistic.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a twist that happens as I'm painting
Yeah.
that takes it from that to
Yeah.
something else. But that just makes it more enjoyable to me. That's my goal, is to not be strictly realistic, but
But generally speaking, your
Yeah.
style would be realism.
yeah, exactly.
Have you had any profound or meaningful experiences while you're painting?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel comfortable sharing any of those? Or?
A fellow that I have read, Ian Roberts, he's a professional artist and writes about it. He says that art is a form of prayer
Okay.
and doesn't need to be. I mean, it isn't necessarily so, but it can be.
Mm-hmm.
And some paintings I have done, there's been more than normal amount of conversation between me and God as I paint.
Okay.
And so then what comes out is more out of that conversation than it is from what I began with
Yeah.
as an intention, as an original idea. Danny Ladies up in Northwest Territory. I spent some time up at Trout Lake in the Northwest Territories where they do this.
Yeah.
And those women, I call it hiding, because you'll notice they aren't looking at they're just hiding.
Yeah.
When they do the hides, and I appreciated that about them. They were not in your face, we're wonderful, but they're doing an amazing job. Those moose hides are very heavy when they put them in the lake,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're sopping wet, and they get them out of there and put them out on these boards, these logs, and it's cold and hard work.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to honor them for what they do. I was just struck by them. This one, I was taken by the fact that Jesus was willing to take on flesh, and our flesh is old and weak,
Mm-hmm.
frail, We sometimes think it's not, but it really is inevitably that. And he took on flesh, and the Word became flesh. The whole Word, which is God, became flesh. So I wanted to convey that in that drawing.
Yeah.
This is called Cease from Man. That's probably too big of a story. I'm trying to paint, I have 8 kids, and now some in-laws, some daughters-in-law, and I'm trying to paint their feet in places where they go. So this is my son, Nathan, and he's climbing Three Sisters, I think it's in Alberta. He's got my other son's paraglider on his back because they thought they were going to do paragliding when they were up there, and they changed their minds, so they dragged that paraglider all the way to the top. Anyway, so that's Nathan's feet, and these are Sam's feet. He paraglides, and that's over in Hong Kong. And he took that picture. Obviously, I took it from a photograph because I wasn't up there. I wasn't on Three Sisters either. But I have done 5, so I've got quite a few more to go.
Yeah.
I have a son that does marathon running. I think I'm going to do his feet that way. This one I started before I had triple bypass surgery. I was taken by the juxtaposition of a stuffed animal in real life, and what if it was alive, what could it do? Well, then I had my surgery, and when I was able to paint again, I finished this painting and I realized it's an illustration of the difference between our life. Our life now is like a stuffed bird compared to what we're going to experience in the next life.
Okay.
So it's called We Shall Be Changed.
Okay.
So that's a special one for me. It's that whole time of my life.
Yeah.
This one here, this one is called Are Ye Able? I did that when I was bedridden with my back and I'm not sure what all, but anyway, I was in a lot of pain. And I got my kids to put my canvas beside my bed, and I painted it from my bed. And because I was thinking about, people say I want to catch Elijah's mantle and have his power. Mm-hmm. But really, what we catch is the crown of thorns. Are we really? The disciple says, yeah, we're able. Mm-hmm. And then when it came time for Jesus to be on the cross, they all ran away. Mm-hmm. So that's a really big question. Are you able? And I think the answer is no. And I don't feel able, but if I will catch that crown of thorns, who knows what I can do. That's what that painting's all about.
Yeah. Any other paintings you'd like to show us?
Oh yeah. This is one. That actually occurred at Canville, Manitoba. Ed Crook took that picture. It was in the paper. It was kind of hard to see because the reproduction wasn't all that great, but I was struck by their complacency at being right on the track. So I call that the flock, right on track.
Oh yeah.
And it's a picture of any shepherd will understand, any pastor will understand the significance of that title. They're right on track, but it just makes you really uneasy looking at the painting.
You know what's coming.
Yeah, right.
Okay, good. Any other ones?
Oh, yeah, I have another one over here. This one. I tried to disobey every rule in the book that I could think of.
Yeah.
Because there's a firmly held thing out there that there is no bad art. Mm-hmm. And I had made a comment to someone that so-and-so's art was improving, and that was really bad statement I guess I made. So I went home and I did this because really, is it true that there's no bad art? If we can't improve, if we can't be said to be improving, then were we wonderful?
Mm-hmm.
Is everything wonderful? Or do we get to get better at what we do? If we get better, then we have to say that's an improvement. So there's a judgment call right there. That's a kind of a big issue. Do we want critiquing? Do we want judges?
Mm-hmm.
And I value the critiquing if the person has earned their right to critique.
Mm-hmm.
Not just anybody can do it. I've seen it done poorly. What I could believe is poorly.
Mm-hmm.
And but I would like, that's one thing I'd like, is to have my work critiqued by somebody who really could know how to take me further along. Some of the critiquing I've had, it's been contrary to other critiquing that I've had. So then I'm left going, huh? What? What? But anyway, that's why that painting happened.
What is the most challenging thing about being involved in art and painting? What would you have found?
I want to get better.
You want to get better?
Since I moved into the studio, I thought, fine, now I don't have to, I'm not going to just keep painting. I'm going to stop my painting and I'm going to start studying art more intentionally. The things that I never took time to do before because I just wanted to get painting.
Mm-hmm.
I put the brakes on that, and when I had my painting kind of is going in cycle, or it's changing. The things that I'm doing are changing, and when it came to in October, my paintings they allowed me to put them in the gallery in Portage, in the boardroom gallery. Then I thought, okay, fine. I cleared out a bunch of my paintings and put them in there. Now I'm not going to paint anymore for a month, or at least. I'm going to just study. And I did that. Mm-hmm. I just studied. I quit painting. And then this studio happened, and so then now I have a place to do it. And I have just made a point of going back over the basics, like doing grayscales, working on palettes, different combinations of colors to find out what palette I like, trying different things, and picking up my sketching again, which had kind of, I used to sketch, there's a sketch a day challenge that people do. Yeah. I've done that, and so then I got into painting more, and that kind of dropped away. So now I've gotten back to my sketching and doing things that, some things are a little more difficult, so you tend to put it aside and just paint. Mm-hmm. Well, now I'm putting aside my painting a little bit and I've got back into painting now, but I have been
so the most challenging
sketching.
So the most challenging thing is just to build up your skill level.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do right now.
Yeah. So what has been the most rewarding thing about painting so far for you?
When somebody looks at a painting that I've done and it connects with them and it plants in them something that they can take as a thought and it encourages them. Mm-hmm. That's rewarding to me. Or helping somebody else that has been discouraged in their art, mm-hmm. and being able to encourage them to pick it up again and take it a little further. That's rewarding to me.
That is very rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
So what advice would you give someone looking to get into painting and art and increasing their abilities?
Everybody knows, but nobody wants to do it. It's practice.
Practice.
Practice. There's so many minutes in the day when you're just sitting there, mm-hmm. or waiting for somebody, and I carry around that sketchbook over there and a little box of stuff, or even just some scraps of paper in a folder that you can whip out, and I have that as well. I've done that too. Individual scraps of paper. I remember one summer when I was doing the sketch a day in the year, there was construction happening on the number 10, and to get to town, you could be sure you had to wait.
Yeah.
I have so many drawings of the back ends of other vehicles or construction workers and you know, all that stuff. There are lots of times when that time would just be lost, that you can turn it into a drawing time, and that imperceptibly moves you towards excellence. I really believe that that's the only thing. Another thing is taking notes and saving samples, because you can always go back and resurrect something for some other project.
All right, so that's some good advice. Is your family involved in your art as well?
I homeschooled the kids, and I didn't want to make them into artists,
Yeah.
so I kind of avoided that.
Yeah.
Then as they got older, we did always crafts and stuff, but I never wanted to encourage them in any particular way based on what I was interested in.
Yeah.
If they were interested, we did it. But so then they got older, and I thought, you know, they could really enjoy doing some of this stuff. So we started what we call scrunch class.
Okay.
It takes the pressure off. You draw it, you don't have to keep it.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, we scrunch it.
Yeah.
And they did really well. And they started doing stuff. It actually got, some of the stuff they did went into the art festival and got awarded. But then I started drawing. And you know, as soon as I took up my painting,
Yeah.
they just quit.
They quit.
Yeah.
They didn't want to work with their home.
Oh no, they're intimidated, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, that was what it's supposed to look like. Well, I'm not going to do that. So
that's
that
too
was
bad.
the end of that. Yeah, it is too bad. Sometimes I get behind them and push them a little bit, and because I know they've got it in them.
Yeah.
And
Well, hopefully they can get back into it.
maybe when they're
On their own.
50 or so, they
Yeah.
can pick it up. Yeah.
So what are some future plans and goals that you have for your art?
To get to be able to paint the ideas that are in my head, to be able to have time to do that before I'm too old,
Yeah.
and to be able to teach other people what I know. It's really hard to find. I don't just want any student, I want students that are willing to commit to doing the work. It's a discipline after all.
Yeah.
It's a creative work, but it's also a discipline. You can't get there without that.
Yeah.
I'd like to see what could happen if I was able to work with somebody that actually put the time in.
So if someone out there is watching this right now and they're thinking this would be something they'd like to pursue, how would they get in touch, or what would this kind of training involve?
I think that it starts by their own making their own efforts on their own time. Looking around at other people's art, seeing what they like, seeing what they don't like, and then as they begin doing it, then they find out what they need help with. You know, when you haven't learned anything, you think you know more than you do.
Yeah.
And then the more you learn, the more discouraging it gets, because you realize how much you don't know. That's when you know you're learning something.
Yeah.
And lots of times I'll hit a time where, oh, I don't like anything I do, and then I remember, oh yeah, okay, so that's because I'm learning stuff. So I would suggest that somebody start working, and not necessarily work up a portfolio, but get up a sampling. And then when they've got that sampling, they've got something to take to somebody that they like, you know, find somebody they like what they're doing, and say, this is what I do, can you help me? And here's what they have to do. They have to be willing to take advice.
Yeah.
Correction.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
You know, if they get a little bit good at something, and then somebody comes along and says, oh, that is so good, then you know what happens? Their heads
Their heads get
really
start to
big,
swell.
and then they stop. They
Yeah.
just keep on doing more of what they're doing, and they're not. They actually sometimes get timid.
They stop pushing themselves.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's actually listening to the feedback of others can be really a hazard. So they just need to work quietly on their own and build up what they've got, and then when they need help, look around for somebody who you can see doing what you want to learn,
Mm-hmm.
and then approach that person and submit show them your samples and take the hints. Hopefully you're asking somebody who knows something.
Yeah.
Not everybody can even explain what it is they know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know way more up here than I can do with my hands.
Yeah.
So that's not useful to somebody else necessarily. No.
So do you do any works for commission or anything like that?
I have.
Yeah. So if someone wanted to book you to do a work for them, what would that process look like?
Mm.
Say if I wanted you to paint something for me, and how would I go about that, arranging that?
Well, I've just been asked.
Okay.
I've done pets. You know, if somebody has a pet and they say, "Oh, I really want a picture of my,"
Oh, the pet.
and then give me freedom to do whatever I, come up with some ideas.
Yeah.
So because some people have in their mind how it should be done,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not familiar with the materials involved or
Yeah.
the restrictions of those limitations of those materials. And so
So you're open to do a
kind
commission.
of a free hand.
Yeah. You're open to do a commission if people are willing to give you some freedom,
Right.
artistic freedom to work with it. Okay, so do you do any exhibitions of your work?
Yeah, I have exhibited in Dauphin and Russell, jury dart shows. I put them up anywhere I think people would like to see something nice if I get the chance. But
Yeah. So what kind of events are you open to exhibiting your work in, or are you feeling comfortable with?
places where I can put it and I don't have to make an appearance.
Oh, you don't want to make it a personal appearance, you
No,
just
I
want
just
it
have to put because the art is what is
the main
it should
thing.
speak for itself, and that's what I want people to be able to see.
Okay, fair enough. Is there anything you'd like to add, or something that people should know?
I would like to say that nobody gets anywhere. I would say I'm self-taught,
Mm-hmm.
but nobody gets anywhere by themselves. In a sense, everyone is self-taught because everybody applies themselves to what they are trying to learn.
Mm-hmm.
But in a way, nobody is self-taught because everybody has input from different people.
Yeah.
And I have people who have encouraged me along the way and given me things. One person who really, I wasn't aware of what was happening, but I was helping this senior citizen in a personal care home to paint. He had had strokes and he couldn't, Dan Brown was his name, he couldn't use his hands very well. So it started with me just opening his paint tubes and putting them on the palette for him.
Mm-hmm.
And as he got, and washing his brushes, setting up his easel. And as he got, he knew how to use color, but he really didn't like to draw.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that every good painting hangs on a good drawing.
Mm-hmm.
So I would tell him, Dan, you got to start doing some drawing here, you know?
Yeah.
But then he came to rely on my drawing ability, and together we did some paintings that ended up being work as we progressed.
Yeah.
And I even got and then some people said, well, that looks more like your work than Dan's. And so then I thought, okay, now I got to learn to paint like Dan.
Yeah.
So then I would start to do brush strokes like
Yeah.
Dan. And but he started taking on jobs for people, commissions for people that he
Yeah.
said they want this and that, and he would take on these things that he could not do because he couldn't draw,
Yeah.
and his ability was getting less and less too because of
His hands.
his mobility. So I ended up doing more, and I thought, Dan, no, quit taking on those jobs,
Yeah.
or I won't help you. You
Yeah.
know? But he helped me very much in my hours and hours of watching him paint. And there were other people too. A friend, Vicki Jansen, she did framing for me, and that revealed to me that I will never be a framer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to learn framing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to paint.
Yeah.
And that's a skill all on its own. So I came to respect that as an ability, and I'm not going there. Mostly my paintings have no frames.
Yeah. So teamwork is the main thing.
Yeah, nobody gets there by it. And my husband, I couldn't have done any of this without my husband. He has really calls himself my patron.
Oh. So if someone wanted to find out more about you or get in touch with you, how would they do that?
Well, I'm learning something new, and that's the ability of uploading YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Willie's art is I've always signed my paintings Willie's. That's how my kids said my name. So that's my painting name. And so I named my channel Willie's Art.
Okay.
And, actually, I guess you can't get a hold of me there. Sorry.
Yeah.
So it'd just be a phone number.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll put that on the screen.
Okay. It had a frame, a wood frame, which I'm not saying, I never said I was a framer, but anyway, one critiquer said, I like that painting, but the frame is terrible. And the other one said, well, I don't like that frame, but the painting's really good. So it's contradictory.
Yeah.
And I quit doing juried art shows, partly because of that. It's one of those ones where I was praying and it turned into something I wasn't prepared for. And when I was done, it was about 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm not a morning person.
Yeah.
But I went to bed and I was just so, what's the word, hyped?
Hyped up.
I couldn't go to sleep. So I woke my husband up and we went for breakfast at McDonald's. And he was just shocked that I would be up at that hour in the morning. But that painting just grabbed me, and I just kept painting. I think it was about 5, I don't remember.
So it's just an idea you had?
But it wasn't what I started out with, but it's what happened. I can show you a couple more. You can just fit them in if you have time. But I mean, that's a friend that I visited. She had a bird nest in a tree where I could see into it, and then I went in her house and she had all these little birds in her kitchen, so I put them together. And I call it entertainment. My son's speakers and a chain that I had carved. I wanted to paint it because I don't want to hang on to it. I just had fun painting it, or carving it, so I put it in the painting, and then I thought, oh, those three things together. He actually said, oh, that's entertainment. And I thought, yeah, right.
That's right.
Yeah.